Okay, Elden Ring. So if you've played this game before, you would have come across barriers, little misty gates that pop up, not boss fight arenas, but actual gates that prevent your progress without you meeting some sort of criteria. So here's one which you may not have even noticed that you were getting past, because most people would have the prereqs before getting to this point. It requires me to have the moon ring. Until I get the moon ring, I can't get past. You come back with the moon ring and you don't even notice that the gate's there. So on my first run through of the game, I thought, sure, that's just preventing people from sequence breaking the game, where they can get to places that they shouldn't be plot-wise too early. In my second run through, on a bit of a whim, I decided to do all of Fia's quest line beginning to end as fast as I could. And to my surprise, I found that this little teleporter here takes you straight to Lindell, behind a Mistgate portal barrier that hadn't had its conditions met. And so I realised that they're not actually checkpoints whereby you must complete certain criteria. They're actually things that can be worked around. And this leads us to my third run through of the game, where I went, okay, great, maybe we can actually do a Maidenless run. That is, when Melina offers to become a maiden, we say, no, thank you very much, and we hold out for Hyetta. Okay, so progressing through the game without a maiden blocks you from a couple of things. You can't level up is obviously a big one. You can't get to round table hold. This is another big one, which stops a lot of plot lines, like you can't do Fia's quest line anymore, you can't do the Dung Eater, but you can still do a lot. You can in fact get 4 great runes, all active, and yeah, well, 4.5 if you count the curse mark of death that it gives you at one of the towers, before you actually hit the first barrier. So the first barrier that you're going to encounter is the Golden Mist Gate at Lindell. It says you need more great runes. They only have a limited amount of space to tell you what the prereqs are, and they're not going to sit there saying, okay, in order to get past this gate, you need this many great runes, you need to visit the round table, you need a maiden, you need a da-di-da-di-da. So we're going to take the prerequisites that it tells us with a grain of salt. Apart from that, we're looking for a way around them anyway. So obviously this way into the city doesn't work, so what's another way into the city? Well, the portal at the end of Fia's quest line. But of course we can't activate Fia's quest line, so that portal never activates. It says you need more great runes, but to my understanding, you need to complete Fia's quest line in order for it to actually activate, no matter how many great runes you have. But does this mean we're stuck? No, there is in fact a third way into Lindell, and that is by the teleporter trap at the top of the Tower of Return, which you can get to right from the start of the game if you so desire. It transports us to the Divine Bridge in Lindell, which might not seem immediately useful because, of course, we don't have access to the lift down to Lindell. We're just stuck at the top of the bridge. But this is where multiplayer people have forged the way. It is perfectly possible to be invaded, so you use a Taunter's Tongue after popping a Furled Finger remedy. Taunter's Tongue, of course, being something that you get from Round Table Hold area. So this method is certainly easier if it's not your first run through of the game and you've already collected all the stuff you need. But if you do use the Furled Finger remedy and a Taunter's Tongue, it is perfectly possible for an invader to activate this lift. It can take a while because, of course, they're invaders. They might decide to do something else entirely. You have no control. If you've ever done any multiplayer in this area, you may have seen quite a few cheers if you actually do use the lift, because it's used as a way to get people into Lindell much earlier than they otherwise would be able to. Now, I've heard the argument before that this is exploiting something that the devs weren't ready for, that they didn't consider, that you're not really meant to do it because, of course, it's quite a niche thing. You're getting invaded and you're working around things that aren't meant to be worked around. Do I have any evidence that actually this is a deliberate access point via the devs? Actually, I do. So when you do finally get access to the lift, It will lead you down into this courtyard where you have to fight a couple of those robot type things. I forget their name off the top of my head. But you run around and it will lead you to some double doors which open inward. Now, if you'll be familiar with doors in the game, you can't open doors inward normally, you have to push them from the other side, but the devs have given us this lever. Now, I would argue that if they didn't foresee people entering Lindell from this direction, if you weren't meant to, if it wasn't a game part of the design, they just wouldn't put this lever here. They would leave the double doors there as a check to make sure that if anyone managed to parkour down the elevator successfully against all odds, then they would still be stuck. They wouldn't be able to access the next part of the game. They didn't do that. This lever is included quite deliberately. You never have to use it normally if you come through from other sides of Lindell, because you just push the doors open and go, hey, what's this lever here? It is specifically for accessing Lindell via this route. So anyway, that's my evidence for this is part of the game and not actual sequence breaking or exploiting some sort of unforeseen interaction or anything like that. Okay, so we've made it into Lindell. As you can see, not even a dung eater in the cell. Of course, we didn't get the key from Round Table Hold, so we never spawned that entire quest line. But we're now getting rather close. So down the bottom of Lindell, possible spoiler warning for people that haven't played this far, but if you haven't played this far, then you're probably not interested in this video anyway. Down the bottom of Lindell, there is a secret pathway down into some catacombs which lead to the alternate Maiden which we're after, because we need a way to set fire to the Erd Tree. All that's standing between us and the Maiden at this point, in theory, is Mog the Omen, so let's just quickly take him out of the picture. I'll skip through this fight, and we can open up the secret passage and see what is blocking us next. And here we are, yet another barrier, this time sealed by Morgoth the Grace-Given. So, okay, let's go, we'll at least have to put this barrier to the test. Let's go kill Morgoth the Grace-Giver. He's up the very top of Lindell, right up the far end, so we'll just skip forward again. Okay, here we are post Morgoth. He is the one that's blocking the entrance to the Erd Tree in theory, but of course the thorns prevent us from accessing the Erd Tree. At this point, you're normally meant to talk to Melina. Sorry, not Melania, Melina. The names in this game still get me. It's like they're deliberately made to confuse you. Melina, Melina, Mikola. Anyway, normally at this point you're meant to talk to Melina, and she will talk about committing a cardinal sin and all that sort of stuff. So let's chat to her. All she's got to say is, have you changed your mind? Will you accept my offer? We're still not accepting her offer. We haven't come this far to suddenly cave and say, hey, yes, please be our maiden for all of 2 seconds. So let's go back and check on the pathway to Hyetta now that Morgoth is gone. And I have to admit I was a little bit dismayed when I rounded this corner and the barrier was still up, and it's still telling me it's sealed by Morgoth the Grace-Given. So it's one of those situations where we just take its information with a grain of salt. This got me to feel quite stuck. I was a little bit out of ideas as to how to progress any further than this. It feels like we're extremely close, but not close enough. So I looked online at this point and discovered that actually I had gone past anyone else's progress that I can find. Maybe there's someone out there that has put up a video that I haven't seen, but all the ones that I could see of people attempting a Maidenless run without any glitches, they all got stuck before this point. And so yeah, I thought I would put it out to the internet hive mind, see what people might be able to suggest. Just to show the dead ends, we can't progress east along the bridge to the Forbidden Lands, but we don't even really want to. What we want to do is somehow find a way. I suspect what we want to do is somehow find a way into the catacombs behind the Shining Grounds, past this little seal. Now, some ideas. I was thinking that maybe I could sneak out an extra Great Rune by getting the black knife print early before I went to Stormvale Castle and giving it to Roger, and maybe that would accelerate Fia's quest line past the needing to actually meet her at the start. This seems unlikely. The most likely candidate for how to progress to me would appear to be Vare. Vare's quest line, if you can get him to move to the Rose Church, which is only his second location, he will give you a quest which involves killing 3 multiplayer people, I think, and he will give you a teleport to Mog, the Lord of Blood, which would allow us to get another great rune to our collection, which would give us almost a complete set. At that point, having barriers stopping us getting places feels a little bit... well, it starts to become a bit less likely, in my opinion. But Vare, he wants you to first go to Round Table Hold. So the question becomes, is there a way to bypass that requirement? Is it one possibility would be, because he's quite multiplayer focused, perhaps you just need to invade and kill enough people. I don't tend to play multiplayer on Elden Ring. I only turn it on briefly, just long enough to get access to the elevator in Lindell. Then I turn it off again. It's really not my sort of thing. I love the game, but the multiplayer aspect just doesn't do it for me. If someone else out there wants to experiment, if one of you listeners out there in internet land big fans of the multiplayer aspect and are looking for another challenge in this game, please do try a Maidenless run and go on a mass slaughter spree and see if Vare will give you some sort of new dialogue, new option if you can get into the church. Otherwise, if you've got any other ideas for how to progress in the game, I'm all ears. I'm willing to give them a shot. This is, again, we're doing this glitchless. I realize there are multiple ways to actually get past the barriers through... there's a dragon communion spell which allows you to basically cheat over objects by jumping. There is the wrong warp glitch which allows you to activate areas which you shouldn't have access to. There is I think it's called the Pegasus glitch, where you can basically get a torrent to ride on invisible platforms through the air. There is the zip glitch, or the zip line glitch, which allows you to pretty much teleport to any position you can see, so you can go look out at the Forbidden Lands and just teleport there. There's ones where you can take no fall damage, so in theory we could go through the 3 belfries to Farum Azula and jump down to that area, but these are all glitches and exploits and not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is to find a way to do a Maidenless run, or I should say a Melina free run, because we're not opposed to maidens, we just don't want to accept her accord. We're looking for a way to sneak past that last barrier and get to Hyetta so that we can do a Melina free run. Just a quick check if you're curious. Now that we have 5 great runes, well 5.5 of which 1 is not activated, the barrier into the main part of Lindell is still up, and the teleporter at the end of Fears is still not active. This doesn't really come as a surprise, and we don't really care about them anyway. And yeah, I think that's about everything. Again, if you've got any suggestions that you feel may get it past this point, then please do let me know in the comments and I'll put them to the test. Otherwise, I hear the DLC recently came out for this, so I'm guessing there's a fair chance that a lot of you will be checking that out at the moment. So good luck with your own adventures, and maybe I'll catch you around the lands between sometime. See ya.